So I figured a good place to start. Sorry guys, I got ligma. All right, chat, we've got a very special stream planned for today. I'm very excited about this. Today, I've brought a little something with me. Brought a tier list. I've brought a list of every single game that I've played over the last 12 months. And we're gonna rank every single one of them today. So I figured a good place to start would be in the realm of Destiny. Destiny is where this channel got its start, so we can't talk about every game we've played this year without talking about the most recent expansion of Destiny, the Final Shape. This was amazing for Destiny standards. In my opinion, it is without a shadow of a doubt the best campaign that the Destiny franchise has ever released. That being said, it's still a Destiny campaign. I wouldn't put any Destiny campaign or expansion in S tier. Like even Forsaken or Witch Queen or the Taken King, if you want to argue those. I don't think any of them make it into S. Final Shape is amazing though. It's a love letter to the franchise. There isn't really an expansion aside from Final Shape that's left me feeling so satisfied with its conclusion. So we're gonna put Final Shape in a very well-deserved A tier. I think that's fine. I think that's totally respectable. But aside from Final Shape, there were two other Destiny releases this year, starting with Episode Echoes. And the drop-off is tough here. And I know it's hard to compare a yearly expansion to like a seasonal expansion because one has significantly more content than the other. One has significantly more fleshed out content than the other. But at the same time, we've had some really good seasonal content. I think about all these seasons that had some pretty high standards for quality, and I didn't see that as much with Echoes. It was probably one of their worst stories, very anticlimactic, and I know that there was kind of like big shoes to fill in the absence of the witness, but man, I was just left feeling kind of distraught. The exotic mission was cool though. So for me, that personally keeps it out of F. We'll put it at D. There's one more Destiny drop for the year, which came out around 2 months ago, and that would be Episode Revenant. Holy quality, has this been bad. Now, I definitely think I prefer dropping all the content at once. It just felt like we got so much less content. I'm sure part of that is due to them just kind of cutting out some of the garbage quest steps, so we're not running around doing as much like busy work and patrols and all that. I think the biggest indicator to me that this was pretty bad is that this killed all my motivation to play Destiny, which sucks. Because Destiny is a game that I loved and honestly still do really love. The story so far has been pretty rough and shallow. The dungeon was cool, but we also have to sort of account for the fact that it's not even included in the base episode. You gotta buy the dungeon key or the deluxe version. So it's okay, yeah, it's right here. We're giving it right now. I don't think anyone's gonna be too surprised with that. That's all the Destiny for this video. But we do have something kind of in the genre, in the MMORPG looter shooter sphere. We've got the Destiny killer itself, or one of them, Warframe, to talk about. Warframe, I tried around the end of Echo's beginning of Revenant, and I was gonna make a video on it, playing with a few buds, and it just sort of fizzled. And that's not to say that Warframe is a bad game, because I didn't give it enough of a shot to say this is good or bad, in my opinion. I think my biggest thing with Warframe was the information overload of it. The learning curve to get into this game, at least I found to be pretty steep. The narrative side of things seemed really cool. It seems like a pretty expansive, fun story. I think the biggest thing for me is the movement. It is fun to just exist in this sphere, especially with the bullet jumps that happen. It's so much fun to just kind of control your character and move around the space. So that aspect definitely brought it up. So even if I was kind of confused about what was happening, it was at least just cool to be in that space. With all that in consideration, we're gonna put Warframe in C. And that's like, C is not bad. I also just wanna dispel the allegations. C is very kind of inoffensive. And to me, Warframe is inoffensive. This sort of takes us out of the category of MMO land, and we're going into what I'm going to call the Carnival of Cards, and we're going to talk about all of the digital card games that I've played over this year, starting with the one I've definitely played the most, Marvel Snap. Now, I still enjoy Snap, but I don't really know how fair it is for me to bring in a parent company while criticizing the game, but some of the decisions that Second Dinner has been making kind of just perplex perplex me. Their card acquisition model is still like pretty scummy. Spotlight keys have gotten really old, and their microtransaction practices are starting to look even more predatory than they used to. I also kind of have a personal bias of ever since Arishim came out, I have not been loving this game. The game is still fun, I still enjoy it. I'm just not as actively playing it as I used to. So we're gonna put Snap in C. Now we've got one more card game to talk about, and this is the one that's currently taking the internet by storm. It is Pokemon trading card game Pocket. Now, I made a video on this game that was pretty scathing. I was really not a fan of this game when it came out, and that's kind of starting to change. I think it still has its fair share of problems. Card acquisition is okay on the gameplay side of things when it comes to actually building your decks and facing other players or CPUs. I'm also really not a fan of coin flips. It feels very frustrating to lose a game because of a coin flip, whether that's Misty throwing 40 energies onto a Lapras, or Zapdos hitting 4 heads in a row to knock out whatever Pokemon you've got out. That kind of rubs me the wrong way when I lose to that, which is completely at the behest of RNG, as opposed to me actively making decisions that alter my advantage in the game. Ripping packs is still fun. This is also going to go in C. It's essentially at the same level as Marvel Snap. We are now moving into what I'm calling the puzzle parlor. Kind of over the last year and a half, I've gotten really hardcore into like puzzle games, especially minimalist puzzle games. So let's start with a game that I hope most of us know and love from our childhood, Scribblenauts Unlimited. So I think this ranking I'm about to give it is kind of my own fault, because I sort of forgot who the target audience for Scribblenauts is. I mean, all things considered, it's a creative game. It's a fun way for kids to kind of get a better grasp on like grammar and types of words and basic puzzle solving. It is not the game for me, oh my goodness. I thought I would be more challenged, and honestly, I couldn't tell you why. We're gonna put it in D for me. For impressionable youth out there watching, this is like a good B, S tier game. Next thing up is something that I played for the first time in June during my charity stream. It's Portal 1. Oh boy, this was an excellent game. It's not the longest game, but that doesn't take away from the fact that this is like an excellently made game, especially considering that it came out in 2007. I think it's crazy that this game is as polished and as like complicated as it is. I mean, beyond that, I really don't have much to say. We're gonna put it in A, because this franchise, as I'm sure you're all aware, has a better entry. We are talking about, of course, Portal 2. Oh my god, this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. This game is peak. I've always heard of this game talked about, whether it was like on Steam or talking to friends or whatever. Portal 2 is always a game I've heard talked about, but it's not one that I've picked up or tried until legitimately this year. I would come home from work and I would play this until I had to go on to my next thing. It was legitimately all I did in the month of June. So yeah, I've heard this game talked about so much as if it was something that came from the promised land, and finally, I understand the hype. This game is pretty much perfect. It's going in S. There's another entry, sort of, in the Portal universe, if you want to call it that, called Portal Revolution. Now this is a modded Portal game, and this shit is hard. This game just feels brutally difficult. The majority of first levels that you experience in the game are all with one portal. I'm personally going to put it in B, but it's totally free. So no harm in checking it out. The only thing you have to lose is your time. We've got sort of a weird entry. We've got 10 games. So as I kind of talked about earlier, I got really into this genre called minimalist puzzle games. That's exactly what it sounds like. They're puzzle games with minimalist aesthetics. I actually made a whole video on all 10 of these games on my second channel that I strongly recommend you go watch. So I'll do my best to average them, but all 10 of them are really great games if you're just kind of looking for something to kill time with. So I strongly recommend you giving them a shot. If I had to put an average on it, it would be B. But that's just because there are kind of 2 outliers that bring the rest down. The other ones are a lot of fun. So B tier. And we've got one more puzzle game to talk about before we move on to a new category. And that is the Talos Principle. This had a similar role to the minimalist puzzle games for me, in that this was a game that I would sort of pick up when Destiny was getting kind of tough and I wasn't playing that as much. Oh my god, not enough people talk about this game. This game is on the same level for me as Portal 2. If you haven't played it, Talos Principle is another first-person puzzle game, kind of similar to Portal 1 or 2, but it's really cool. It's got a super diverse array of mechanics. There's lasers and hostiles and jammers and doors. The visuals are amazing. It's got a really awesome story. You know how I know it's good? Actually, hold up, we're gonna talk. This is a game that I have dreamed about. Obviously, for me, the Talos Principle is another S-tier game. You gotta check it out. Pick it up next time it's on sale. Puzzle games are all done with for now. We're gonna move into some kind of cozy games, some kind of chill, laid-back experiences, starting with every groomer's favorite game, Minecraft. This isn't the first time I've touched Minecraft. Obviously, we've played it on the channel before. It's Minecraft. It's fun. It's definitely got diminishing returns. Even in that group setting, it kind of loses its appeal after a little bit. Still a really fun game. I get enjoyment out of it every now and again. So I'm going to personally place it in C. We're at a bit of a controversial one, and I know that I'm going to get cooked for this opinion. I'm not crazy about Stardew Valley. I tried. I seriously tried. I just couldn't. I do not get this game. So much of the game made very little sense to me. As a result, it's just kind of like a really overwhelming and confusing and frustrating experience for me. Obviously, if Stardew is your game, and that's the one that you're going to ride or die by, you do you. I'm so happy for you. Personally, it's going to go in D for me. Please don't cook me too hard. We're now going to move into some shooters that I played this year. The first one being Fortnite. It feels like this game has sort of had a renaissance over the last, 3 or 4 years, and I can definitely see the hype behind it. Man, I've really tried to enjoy Fortnite, and at one point I definitely did. I guess, if I had to put a rhyme or reason on it, I'm just not crazy about battle royales, like that format. The one thing that I say personally keeps it out of F for me is the aspect of live events. If you've been playing Destiny long enough, you'll remember times when they did live events in game. Those live events are something I really miss in Destiny, and I think Fortnite does a really awesome job of it. Personally, Fortnite is a D for me. All right, next up, we're going to talk about an indie project that I found a lot of fun in just a little over a year ago, called Ape War. Ape War is so charming. There's something just primally satisfying about your monkey making the exact same noise every time you hit the spacebar to jump. Hearing the monkey screech when you get a kill is hilarious. There's no other word for it. If the game got a little more support and love from the devs that made it, I could definitely see myself ranking this one higher. It's not that polished, but again, it's an indie title. It's a cute game, so we're gonna put it in C tier. The standard shooter I've played the most of this year also shouldn't come as a surprise. It is Splitgate. This game is so much fun, and I was honestly surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Now, look, it's not perfect by any means. You've got body lobbies every now and again. You've got sort of campy tendencies every now and again with the portals, but at the end of the day, it's still mad fun. It's a miracle that this game doesn't just collapse in on itself. The portals flow really smoothly. Splitgate's gonna go in B for me. I can see cases being made for A or C, but I think B is kind of the sweet spot. We're gonna move out of shooters now, and we're gonna talk about some miscellaneous games. So our next game on the list is Click to 10. Now, if you've never played Click to 10, what are you doing? This is legitimately, without a shadow of a doubt, the best game I've played all year. I can't even begin to explain how much I enjoy this game or why I enjoy this game. It wouldn't do the game justice. It just wouldn't. So I clicked to 10. There should be an additional tier above S, but Click to 10, it goes in S, obviously. Our next game is a classic. If you ever went to your grandmother's house and she had games installed on her computer, chances are one of those games was Snood. If you haven't heard of Snood before, that's probable. But the gist of this game is it's kind of like one of those Bejeweled type games where you're just trying to shoot little characters and match up 3 of them. It's a very simple game. It kind of brings me back to hanging out with my grandma. So Snood we'll put in C. We're gonna talk about another older game. This is actually a Flash game that my dad showed me, and that's how I rediscovered my love of the game Sewer Run 2. It's kind of just like the name of it sounds. You're on a skateboard racing through the sewers. It's kind of in the same vein of Snood for me. It definitely has a little bit of better replayability than Snood does. And honestly, I would say that the graphics for it are pretty decent for a Flash title. I mean, it's like fully 3D. So, pretty good. We're going to put it in B. Got another amazing, awesome, dope game next. And that would be called It Takes Two. If there's any game that deserved Game of the Year award, It Takes Two definitely deserved it. And I'm so happy it got it 3 years ago because, oh my god, this game is so good. Ever since my girlfriend and I finished playing this game, we have been searching and searching for a game that's even remotely similar to this. The story is amazing. The puzzles are amazing. The gameplay, the movement are amazing. And the great part of it is, yes, you do have to pay to play this game. However, only one of you has to pay for it. The other person can get a free download of it and play along with you. So you only need to buy one copy of this, which is so user-friendly. So the moment you see it go on sale, or honestly, I wouldn't even wait for it to go on sale. I would get you a friend, get them online, play this game. It Takes Two, S tier game. This game is so much fun. Oh wait, y'all, I made a mistake. On God. I can't put It Takes Two in S. It Takes Two is gonna go into A because, without spoiling anything, the ending is a little underwhelming. And it's not that bad. It just sort of ends very abruptly, but the rest of the game is still pretty much flawless. We're gonna move on to a game that I sort of discovered by accident. We are talking about Pizza Hero. This is like sort of a weird, almost like a roguelike game combined with a bullet hell. It's sort of in the same vein as Snood and Sewer Run, but it's just kind of a game that I picked up when I was bored and had nothing else to do. It's cute, it's fleshed out, it's polished, the game runs really nicely, and I don't really have much else to say besides that. So we're gonna slap it into B tier right next to Sewer Run. We're on to another game that I've only played once, I think, but it's a game that I've sort of been like itching to go back to and just kind of haven't for whatever reason. Let's talk about Content Warning. Proximity chat horror games are always a blast, and Content Warning is no exception to the rule. You've got these kind of dull, dark, spooky environments paired with these vibrant, safe, colorful spaces. Like I said, I can't say I've played it that much, but there's a lot of replayability to be had in this. Get a good group of friends together. I think you can have 4 of you, and you can waste a good like 2 or 3 hours, and I recommend that you do. Content Warning will be going into A tier. And with that, we are on to our final game of the list. And this is not one that I was initially intending to include, because it's a game I've only picked up 2 weeks ago. But it's also a game that I haven't been able to stop playing. In the first week of me touching this game, I logged 12 hours in it, I think. And the moment I reveal what it is, I think you'll all understand. It is, in fact, Hades. This game has been in my library for I don't even know how long, and I am like hitting myself over the head for not getting into this game sooner because, oh my god, this game is so polished and incredible. I think my friend Aiden kind of summed it up perfectly, if we're being honest, in that this is the ultimate replayability game because even when you die and you're on one of the final stages and you get sent all the way back to the beginning, the gameplay of it is so much fun that a death and a wipe back to the beginning doesn't feel like a chore. It doesn't feel like you're being punished. It feels like you've learned something and you know a little more about how to tackle things the next time. You know how to build craft yourself better. I now understand all of the hype of my friends talking about this game from like 3 years ago. And to all those people that hyped this game up, I'm sorry I ignored you. Straight up. I've slept on this game and I will admit that. So I'm not even done with it. So this feels kind of scandalous to do. But I don't think anyone's going to be mad if it goes into S. All right, and that's it, folks. That's the list. Read it and weep. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Should I go die in a hole? Probably keep that to yourself. That's a very hurtful thing if that's what you're thinking. But I'm not your mom. I can't tell you what to think. Bye.